Hello folks, this is Tom Martin. This is my lottery strategy game, Decoding the Powerball, the Powerball guessing game. I'm picking my numbers for the drawing on August 8th, 2018. If you'd like to play my game Decoding the Powerball, then please email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. I have 7 strategies with my game Decoding the Powerball, so strategy number 1, the game card color code. Okay, so if you've never seen my videos before, why I make them is to demonstrate on how to use my game. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the game card. This is a format that I came up with that represents the 69 white ball numbers in the Powerball lottery. I really don't have anything for the Powerball itself. My goal is to get all 5 white balls correct and win the $2 million prize with the Power Play option. Okay, so first things first is I'm going to go to the Powerball homepage, and the 5 white winning numbers that just came up were the 3, 11, 38, 44, and 58. Again, I really don't care about the red ball. Okay, so what I do is I take those 5 white winning numbers and I put it at the top of this list, and then I'll take the last 3 drawings of numbers and I'll transfer these numbers over to the game card as red numbers. Then I'll do the same thing with the orange area, the green area, the blue, and the purple. I have 5 different colors, one to represent each one of the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so how this works is, again, there's 69 white ball numbers total. I divided them among 5 colors, which equals 13.8. Okay, so my goal is to get as close to 13 or 14 numbers per color. Okay, so for this drawing here, I have 12 red numbers, 14 orange, 15 green, 11 blue, and 17 purple. And the number of colors change with every single drawing. Okay, so over here to this 252, okay, this tells me how many color code drawings I kept track of so far. And again, these are the color code drawings, okay? So out of this 252 drawings, 132 drawings have come up a 3-color combination. 87 drawings have come up a 4-color combination. 24 drawings have come up a 2-color combination, and only 9 times out of 252 drawings have all 5 colors come up together. And never has it been just one color. Okay, so this number 3 right here in the middle, this tells me how many colors just came up in the last drawing. So you can see that there was 1 green, 1 purple, and 3 red, for 3 colors total. Okay, so how I use this game is I try to correctly guess what number will come up next, okay? So more than half the time, it does come up a 3-color combination. Okay, so the overall strategy is to eliminate numbers, okay? So again, there's 69 white ball numbers total. Only 5 numbers can come up as winners. So that means 64 numbers can't come up at all. Okay, so for me, I just think it should be easier to pick the numbers that won't be coming up than the 5 that actually do. Okay, so to help me out with that, I'm going to turn to how all 5 colors hardly ever come up together. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these colors won't be coming up and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so when I look at the history of things here, I look at it and say, I don't think any red numbers are going to come up. Okay, so the thing about my game is that we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. Okay, so you may look at the history and say, no, I don't think any purple numbers are going to come up or whatnot. Okay, but for me, I don't think any red numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so here's the game card, and you can see this 22 is red, so I want to get rid of that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll to the right just to speed things up here. Okay, and this is what the game card looks like so far with no red numbers to it. Okay, so when you look at this 22, how it's all blocked out, okay? When I see one of these blocked out numbers, this means that I'm not even going to consider this number when I'm picking what I think would be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so What I'm doing here is I'm spending $3 on a Powerball ticket, which includes the power play. Okay, so in other words, what I'm doing is I'm betting $3 that none of these red numbers will come up in the next drawing. Okay, so if I'm correct with my bet and none of these red numbers come up, then I'm one step closer to that $2 million prize. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 2, the individual numbers. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the individual numbers. Okay, and how this works is up at the very top is the master for each individual number. Okay, and over here to the right are the numbers that just came up in the drawing. Okay, and the numbers are 3, 11, 38, 44, and 58. Okay, so that turns out to be a 5-group combination. Okay, so I'm going to reduce this down so you can see the whole card and see what I'm talking about here. Okay, and what you're going to see is that I divided the 69 numbers into 7 different groups. Okay, so group number 1 holds the numbers of 1 through 9, and this is the only group with 9 numbers. And then the other 6 groups have 10 numbers to it. Okay, so the next group is 10 through 19, and then it's the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. Again, for 7 groups total. Okay, so there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I know that 2 of these groups will not be able to have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so how I use this is this big square right here. This is good for 5 drawings. Okay, so the reason why I break it out into 5 is for a couple reasons. One is when I go back into the history of things, it's easier to count going 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on. Okay, but my theory is that if there's a lot of hits within this 5 drawings here for a certain group of numbers, then maybe there won't be so many hits in the next 5 drawings, or vice versa. Okay, so that's how I like to look at things. Okay, so again, the overall strategy is to eliminate numbers. Okay, and I look at this and I say, I don't think any 20 numbers are going to be coming up. Okay, so again, we're all going to look at this a little bit differently. Okay, but for me, I don't think any 20 numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them. And I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to blow this back up. Okay, so another way that you can use this, if you get my game, is that you could highlight one number like the 17 and go back into the history of things and see what colors have come up. Okay, and if it hasn't been purple in a long time or whatnot, then maybe you consider picking the 17 when it's in that purple area. Okay, so another way I use this is I try to correctly guess how many groups is going to be hit in the drawing. Okay, so most of the time it comes up either a 4 or a 3. Okay, every once in a while a 5 will pop up like it just did. Okay, so this 5 means that it hit 5 groups. So the 3 is in one group, the 11 is in another group, the 38's in another group, the 44 is in a group of its own, and the 58's in its own group. Okay, so it's all 5 different groups that I hit. So that's why I have a 5 here. Okay, so down here in the 4, you can see that the 32 and the 38 are in one group. So that's why it's only 4 groups here. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the game card. I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far with no 20 numbers to it. Okay, so actually this is what the game card looks like so far with no red numbers to it from the color code and now no 20 numbers to it from the individual numbers. Okay, so again, if I'm correct with my guesses here and none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers have to be within one of these colored numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 3, picking the numbers I hope will miss from group 1. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 1 numbers. Okay, so what I did is I took the 69 numbers and divided it into 4 different groups, and I put colors to these groups. Okay, so when the Powerball numbers come up and they land within these groups, I record where they land down here in the stats. Okay, so this is for the red area, the blue, the orange, and the green. Okay, so I have 15 of these option cards, I call them. Okay, so this is option card number 1, and you can see where the red numbers are. Okay, and I'll move over to option card number 2, and you can see where the red numbers are here. Okay, so I'm just dividing these numbers up and trying to correctly guess if this group of numbers is going to come up in the lottery or not come up. Okay, so what I'm looking for is numbers that will not be coming up. Okay, so as I go back here, I'm going to go back to the Powerball homepage. And again, the 5 white winning numbers were the 3, 11, 38, 44, and 58. Okay, so you can see that the 3 and the 11 are in the red area. So as I go down to the red area, you can see that there's a 2 here. And again, that stands for the 3 and the 11. Okay, when I go to the blue area, there was no winning Powerball numbers here in the blue area. So there's a 0 here. Okay, and then there was 2 numbers in the orange area. And that was the 44 and the 58. Okay, and the 58 shares the square with the 68. And I'll go over that in a second. Okay, and then over here in the green, you can see that there was a 1, and that's for the 38 right here. Okay, so that's all 5 winning Powerball numbers. And again, there was no winning Powerball numbers in the blue area. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay, so if I could have correctly guessed that none of these blue numbers are going to come up in the last drawing, I could have eliminated all these blue numbers and gave myself a much better chance at picking the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so again, I have 15 of these option cards. And the reason why I have so many is because I want as many options as possible to correctly guess where these zeros are going to pop up. Okay, so I'm going to make a pick here. Okay, and I'm going to choose that I don't believe that any blue numbers are going to come up here on option card number 3. Okay, so I don't think the 17, 18, 19, 20, and all these other blue numbers will be coming up in the drawing. Okay, so we're all going to look at this a little bit differently, like I said. Okay, but the reason why I'm picking this one is, again, I think there's going to be a 0 here. Okay, and you can see that here we the next one down, the next blue area had 2 zeros as well. Okay, so as I go down through, you can see that here's one with 4 zeros. Okay, but with this column here, I never seen this pattern right here where there's 2 zeros followed by 2 zeros. Okay, that just has not happened here in this blue area. Okay, so I just kind of think that it's due to happen. Okay, so again, I think there's going to be a 0 here, which means I don't believe that any of these blue numbers are going to come up. Okay, so you may look at it and say, no, I don't think it's going to be any green or orange or whatnot. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to the game card. I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far with none of those blue numbers. Okay, so like I said, I wanted to explain how or why this 19 shares the square with the 67 here. These 5 numbers share the square over here. And the reason why is because as I go back to group 1 here, you can see that there's no numbers off here to the left side like there is with the game card. Okay, so again, I'm just grouping up numbers. Okay, so when I get rid of this blue area here on option card number 3, I'm getting rid of this blue area as a group. Okay, and within this group is the 19 and the 67. Okay, so the reason why I have these numbers off here to the left is because of the color code. Okay, so This 53 shares the square with the 69, okay? So you can see the next square over is the 54, okay? And this square is the 52, so right here should be the 53, okay? But you see the 69 instead, okay? Because the reason why is because I wanted this format of 64 numbers here where there's 8 squares down and 8 squares across, okay? So that makes that happen here in group 1, okay? So you can see that there's a nice even grid here, okay? So again, I'm just grouping up numbers and trying to correctly guess if they're going to come up in the drawing or not come up, okay? So again, I don't think any of these blue numbers are, and now I'm going to make a next guess here. So as I go back to the game card here, again, you can see the reason why I have this out here is because of the color code, okay? So this 53 is blue and this 69 is purple, okay? So again, I need some separation, all right? So if I decided to get rid of all the purple numbers, I would get rid of the 69, but the 53 would still be in play. And then if I got rid of all these numbers, I would get rid of the 53 and the 69 at the same time. Okay, so I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so I'm going to go back and make my next pick. And this is option card number 4, no red numbers. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this one is because one of these red numbers have come up in the last 21 drawings. Okay, so again, one of these red numbers have come up in the last 21 drawings here. So I'm just going to guess that I don't think it's going to hit number 22 in a row, okay? So I don't think any of these red numbers are going to come up, so I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right, and you can read underneath, Group 1, option card number 4, no red numbers, and you can see all those red numbers are gone now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Group 1 here, and I'm going to make another pick, and I'm going to pick option card number 6, no blue numbers. Okay, so the reason why I'm picking this one is because you can see that there's a couple single zeros here, okay? And sometimes they double or triple up, like over here in this orange area, okay? So as I go down through, you can see that there was a bunch of single zeros, okay? There's actually 10 of them. And I just think it's going to double up, okay? So I think there's going to be a 0 here, okay? But you may look at it and say, no, there's been 20 in a row on this green. I'm going to pick this one instead, you know? But again, we're all going to look at this differently, but I'm going to go with the blue, okay? So I don't believe that any of these blue numbers are going to come up in the drawing, so I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. Okay, and this is what the game card looks like so far. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Group 1 for one last pick, and that's option card number 12, no red numbers. Okay, so here's option card number 12, and the reason why I'm picking this one is because you can see this row right here, okay? What that stands for is that all 4 color groups had a hit to it. Okay, so again, when that happens, I call that a row, so I could go back into the history of things and see where these rows have popped up. Okay, so usually after 2 rows in a row, there's usually a 0 somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to just choose the red one because this one has 11 hits in a row and it has the most. So I'm just going to go with the red one. Okay, so sometimes there's no rhyme or reason why groups of numbers will come up or not come up, okay? I'm just going to choose this red one, and I'm going to eliminate all these red numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right. And this is what the game card looks like so far with no red numbers to it. Okay, so I'm all done with Group 1 here, okay? So out of those 15 option cards, I picked 4 of them, and that's all I feel comfortable with. Okay, so I'm off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 4, picking the numbers I hope will miss from Group 2. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call my group 2 numbers. Okay, so much like group 1 where I divided things into 4 different groups, here I divided things into 8 different groups. Okay, so it's just another way of looking at groups of numbers. Okay, so again, you can see that there's 8 colored groups total here. Okay, and there's only 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so I know that 3 of these groups cannot have a winning Powerball number to it. Okay, so the strategy is try to correctly guess which one of these groups won't have the winning Powerball number to it and eliminate that group of numbers off of the game card. Okay, so I'll show you how this works. Okay, so you can see the color groups, and down here is the stats, and I have 15 of these option cards as well. Okay, so you can see where the red numbers are here. They run from 1 down to the 57. And then over here, option card number 2, you can see where the red numbers run. It runs from the 1 to the 66. Okay, so again, I'm just switching up groups of numbers here. Okay, so how I use this is down here in the stats. I like to record in the stats every 5 drawings. Okay, and the reason why I do that is because I want to see a majority of things. Okay, so here you can see that there was 3 zeros and then 2 hits and 1 hit. Okay, so the majority is zeros, okay, or misses. Okay, so when that happens, I color the background blue for cold, and the one below it, you can see with this 5 drawings, the majority is hits. Okay, so when that happens, I color the background red for hot. Okay, so the reason why I do that is because I know that the lottery is so random that nothing can stay cold forever and nothing can stay hot forever. Okay, so as I go down through the history of things, this is the start, okay, and I'm going down to where it's current. You can see that there was where it got pretty hot here, okay, and then it got hot again here. Okay, so I know it can't stay hot forever. Okay, so I just have to correctly guess when it's going to start to cool down. Okay, so my first pick is going to be option card number 4, no yellow numbers. Okay, so I just want to point out how this works again. So I jumped the gun a little bit. Okay, so again, the winning numbers were the 3, the 11, the 38, the 44, and the 58. Okay, so you can see it was 1 blue number, 2 orange numbers, 1 green number, and 1 brown number. Okay, so 1 blue, 2 orange, 1 green, and 1 brown. Okay, so when I go here, you can see in the red area there's a 0, and here's the blue with that 1. Here's the orange with the 2. Here's the green with the 1. The purple has a 0. And then the brown with that 38. And then no gray numbers and no yellow numbers. Okay, so what this 4 means is that there was only 4 groups hit. Okay, and there was only 4 because there was 2 of them in this orange area. Okay, so the reason why this 4 is red is because the majority of the 5 winning Powerball numbers were over here to the left side. Okay, so when the majority is over here to the right side, I color it green. Okay, so it just gives me some separation. Okay, so again, my first pick is going to be option card number 4, no yellow numbers. Okay, so this is what option card number 4 looks like. Okay, so here's the stats for the yellow. And as I head down through, you can see that things got pretty hot. They kind of stayed hot. They kind of stayed hot. And now I think it's going to have a cool down. Okay, so I think I'm expecting to see a lot of blue here in the future. Okay, so I think it's going to start now. So I don't believe that any of these yellow numbers are going to come up. So I want to get rid of these yellow numbers, and I'm going to do it through the game card. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down, and you can read underneath group 2, option card number 4, no yellow numbers, and you can see that there's no yellow numbers here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2 for my next pick, and that's option card number 10, no gray numbers. Okay, so again, I have 15 of these option cards, okay? And here's the gray area. And as I head down through, you can see that things were pretty hot. Okay, and they got really hot again here. And now I think it's going to start to have a cool down, okay? So I'm expecting to see a lot of blue here in the future as well. Okay, so I don't think that any of these gray numbers are going to be coming up. So I want to get rid of them, and I'm going to get rid of them through the game card. Okay, so now I'm going to scroll to the left. And you can read underneath group 2, option card number 10, no gray numbers. And now there's no gray numbers here. Okay, so I'm going to go back to group 2 for one last pick. And that's option card number 15, no red numbers. Okay, so here's the stats for the red. And as I head down through, you can see that things were kind of like 50-50. And then they got pretty hot right here. Then they got really hot right here. Okay, so now I think there's going to be a cool down. Okay, so I'm expecting some blue here in the future. And I think it's going to start right now. So I think there's going to be a 0 right here. Okay, so again, I don't believe that any of these red numbers will be coming up, and I think the only one left is the 39 on the game card. Okay, so you can see the 39 here, and as I scroll over, you can see the 39 is gone now. Okay, so that's all I'm going to pick for the numbers that I don't believe are going to come up. Okay, so if I'm correct with my guesses, again, with these blocked out numbers, if none of these blocked out numbers come up in the drawing, and the key word here is if none of these blocked out numbers come up, then the 5 correct winning Powerball numbers have to be one of these numbers still left on the game card. Okay, so what I did is I started off with 69 white ball numbers, okay, and now I'm down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 numbers left. Okay, so if I made all the correct guesses, then I really reduced my odds here. Okay, so I'm going to go off to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 5, picking my the 50-50 picks. Okay, so what you're looking at here is what I call the 50-50 picks. Okay, so how this works is, again, there's 5 white winning Powerball numbers. Okay, so there's going to be a majority of numbers of either odds or evens. Okay, so what you're looking at here is, in how this works is, I kept track of 296 drawings, okay? And this goes back to October 7th, 2015. This is when the Powerball lottery went from 59 numbers to 69 numbers, okay? And out of this 296 drawings, 150 drawings have been the majority of odd numbers. 146 drawings have been the majority of even numbers. Okay, so as I look at this, I like to break things down into 5 as well to see that majority. And then within this last 5 drawings here, from here to here, the majority was even numbers, 5 drawings to 0 drawings for odds. Okay, so it just happened to be the reverse with the 5 drawings before that. Okay, so again, all this is geared up for you to make a decision on what the majority will be. Okay, so I'm not sure what the majority would be. Okay, I'm kind of thinking that it's odds, but I'm not positive. Okay, it might go evens again, so I'm going to leave that one alone. Okay, so I'm going to go off to the next one, and this is high and low, where all the high numbers are red numbers and all the low are blue. So it's been 146 for the majority to the high side and 150 drawings to the majority to the low side. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to pick at that one either. I don't feel comfortable picking at that one, but I do feel comfortable picking at this one over here, and that's is left and right. So you can see all the red numbers are to the left and all the blue numbers are to the right. And this one is dead even at 148 each. 148 drawings each had the majority to it. Okay, so when I look at this, I believe that there's going to be another majority to the left side. Okay, so when I'm picking what I think will be the 5 white winning Powerball numbers, I want at least 3 of these numbers over here to the left side. Okay, so one last one that I have is this red and blue area. Okay, and you can see that the red has 172 to the majority and 123 to the blue. Okay, so when I look at this, I think then the majority of the numbers will be to the blue area. Okay, so this is the blue area right here, and this is, I want at least 3 of the winning numbers to be in this blue area here. Okay, so one last thing that I have is for the red ball itself, the Powerball number. Okay, if you don't know how the Powerball lottery works, there's 69 white ball numbers, and you have to correctly guess 5 of them. And then there's 26 red ball numbers where you have to correctly guess 1 of them. So if you correctly guess all 6 numbers, you win the jackpot, which is $223 million for this drawing. Okay, so what I did is, if you're looking at this column here, what I did is I took the 26 red ball numbers and I divided it into 2. Okay, so if you see a blue number, that means it's low, 1 to 13. And if you see a red number, that means it's high, 14 to 26. Okay, and over here in this column, if you see a red number, then that means it's odds. If you see a blue number, then that means it's evens. Okay, so why I colored things up is I like looking at colors. Okay, so now I just have to correctly guess what color it's going to be. Okay, so for me, I think that this is going to be blue. Okay, which means I think it's going to be a low, 1 to 13. And over here, I think this is going to be blue as well. So I think the Powerball number will be a low, even number. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, I'm going to scroll to the left. And you can see the 50-50 picks. I think the majority will be to the left side. And I think the majority will be in this blue area here. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next strategy. And that's strategy number 6, picking the numbers I hope will hit from group 2. Okay, so again, this is my group 2 numbers, and I have 15 of these option cards, and they all kind of look the same as far as the colors of red, blue, orange, green, purple, brown, gray, yellow. It's just that the numbers that they represent are a little bit different from each other, from each different option card. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that there's 15 red areas, okay, there's 15 blue areas, 15 orange, and so on. Okay, so I like to keep track of that, and I call that the group 2 overview. Okay, so I'm going to go to that right now. So okay, so this is what the group 2 overview looks like. Okay, so in the last drawing, okay, over on the left side are the hits, okay, and that means that the blue area had a hit, and the orange area had a hit, and the green area had a hit, and the red area had a miss. Okay, so I'm looking at the red area right now. Okay, so in the last drawing, there was 6 hits in the 15 red areas and 9 misses, where there wasn't a Powerball on the option card at all. Okay, so when that happens, when there's more misses than hits, okay, well, what I should say is that the magic number here is 8. 8 will show me the majority out of the 15 option cards. Okay, so if there's 8 or more misses, I color the background blue for cold. If there's 8 or more hits, I color the background red for hot. Okay, so again, I just have to look at the colors here and try to correctly guess the correct color. Okay, so when I look at this, what I'm looking for is where the next red area will be, and I think will be here in the brown. Okay, so I'm expecting this to be red here. Okay, which means I think there's going to be at least 8 or more option cards with hits to it. Okay, so as I go back to group 2, actually I'm going to go back to the game card here, and I'm going to scroll down. Okay, so how this works is these numbers here in the yellow represent the 15 option cards. Okay, so I'm going to go to option card number 1. Okay, and I'm only concentrating on the brown area. Okay, and that runs from the 6 down to the 62. So I look to see what's left in this area, and there's no numbers here. Okay, so I put a 0 here. Okay, so then I'm going to go to the option card number 2 here. Okay, and you can see that it runs from the 41 to the 48 for the brown area. Okay, so I look at the brown area from the 41 to the 48, and the only one that's left is the 48, so I wrote that down. Okay, so I did that with all 15 option cards. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the last strategy, and that's strategy number 7, picking my numbers. Okay, so I'm going to scroll to the right, and the numbers that I'm going to go with for this drawing are the 7, 48, 52, 57, and 68. Okay, so with this combination of numbers, this will give me 10 hits, 5 misses in that brown area. Okay, so as I go back to the Group 2 overview, again, I think that this is going to be a 10, and this a 5, which will make it red like so. Okay, so that's what I'm hoping that it will look like. Okay, so as I go back to the game card here, okay, so again, I thought there was going to be more numbers to the left side. Okay, so there is 3 over here to the right side. Okay, so it could have been the majority to the right side, but I think it's going to be to the left. So you can see that the 52, 57, and 68 will make that happen for me. Okay, and then I thought the blue would be have more than the red as well. Okay, so again, the numbers that I'm going to go with are the 7, 48, 52, 57, and 68. Okay, folks, if you're interested in playing my game, then email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. Okay, I charge $10 a month. I'll send you my Google Sheets link. Okay, and the reason why it's $10 a month is because I have to update the system after every single drawing. Okay, so all payments are made through PayPal. All right, so again, if you're interested, email me at decodingpowerball@gmail.com. All right, so I appreciate you watching. If you like the content of my show, then please subscribe. Okay, and as always, I want to wish you the very best of luck with your picks. Thank you.